Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make this medieval wire weave, and this is what mine looks like here. So it's just a little test piece to show you the weave itself. So really what it is a fan wire weave and a diagonal weave, but combined into this kind of medieval look. So it's almost like little shields separated out by walls. So if you want to learn how to make this weave, then keep watching. So we're going to need 4 lengths of our 1mm wire here, and these are going to be for the base wires. And then we'll just need 1 length of a 0.4mm wire, and this is the weaving wire around the base wires. So I'm going to start out taking one of my base wires here, and then also my weaving wire, and I'm going to work towards one end for both of them. So what I'm going to do is take the weaving wire and just leave a little short tail and put it behind my base wire towards one end there. I'm just going to use that tail to hold on to. Then I'm going to wrap my weaving wire around the base wire to attach it. So I'm just coiling it around here a few times, just like that, and pushing the wraps close together as well to make sure the weave becomes nice and even. Just going to coil it around a few more times just to kind of get it started. And then when we reach this point, we want to get into the proper pattern of the weave. And we then also need to bring in more of our base wires. So I'm going to grab my very next one here, and then on the piece I've already started, I'm going to place the new base wire just above the first one and on top of the weaving wire as well. So they're laying like that right next to each other. And then what I'm going to do is bring my weaving wire here. It's coming from behind and I'm bringing it across the top of both of them. Just like that, and then all the way around and then down towards the back again. And then what you want to do is just make sure again to push this tight and flat down against the wires. And then we need to come up between the two wires, so I'm just separating them. Bring the weaving wire up from behind and then use that to push down on the previous wraps as well. And then I'm just going to wrap around the top one by itself, so all the way around that new one that we added in, and then again down behind the back of them, so coming out towards the back. So just like that. And then we need to add in the next base wire. So again, I placed that above the previous one, so that now becomes the new top one. And then I'm going to bring my weaving wire, same as before, but now we just have 3 wires, base wires, across the top of all of them. And then down behind all of them again, towards the back. And make sure you press this nice and flat. And then what we need to do is come up between the top 2 base wires. So that was the wrong one, come up between the top 2 there. And then, just like before, use that to push down against. And then wrap around the top one by itself. So we're kind of gradually now working our way upwards on one side here, creating the pattern. And then the final base wire, again, place that just like all the others as the new top one. And then the weaving wire, we bring it across the top of all of them. Just like that. Make sure press it flat, and then coming down behind. But now what we need to do is come up right in the middle of them all, so between the 2 middle ones there, and then push that down. And then we need to, because now we basically just reached the midpoint and we worked our way up to that, now we need to work our way back down in a mirrored image to what we just did. So I now need to wrap around the second base wire from the top, that one there, because that's the one we did a single wrap around on the opposite side of the midpoint. So we just go down between the top 2 to wrap around that individually. Again, push it tight. And then we need to go down behind all the way to the bottom, and then come back up over the top to then come down between the top 2 again. So we're now wrapping across the top of the bottom 3. Push it close. So that was one step down. So then to do the next step down, we need to come up between the bottom 2 wires, so between there, and then push that close. And then we need to go down between the 2 middle wires, between the middle of all of them really, because we then need to wrap around that second from the bottom by itself to replicate the first side that we did, and push it close, and then down behind to then come over the top again, but only over the bottom 2, because we need to come down in the same place that we just did with a single wrap, just like that. Push it all nice and close so we get that nice kind of fan shape or shield shape, whatever you think it looks like. Then I'm coming down behind to be able to then wrap around just the bottom wire again. So we just go down between the bottom 2, so then wrap around that by itself. And then really you can do this however many times you want to create the spacing you want between the different sections. That's completely up to you. And what you can do is you can count every wrap to make sure that the spacing between each section becomes the same. Now I'm choosing to do 5 single wraps on the bottom base wire there, but like I said, it's completely up to you. So I've now reached the point where we're going to add in that kind of straight line across, almost that little wall that separates the sections out as well. So what I'm going to do is coming out towards the bottom, then I'm going to go across the top of them again, but then I need to come down between the middle 2. So down like this, to then wrap around so it comes across the top of the bottom 2, just like that, and then we come up between the bottom 2 and push that close. We then need to wrap around the top again, but over the top of the next 2. So we first wrapped around the top of the bottom 2, now we need to wrap around the top of the middle 2, so that means I need to come down between the top 2 wires. So right up here, and again push that all the way down to then come up just 1 step below, so up between the very 2 middle wires, and then again push this down to help make it nice and tight, and then over the top of the top 2 wires now to get all the way to the top here. Come down behind, and then now what we need to do is step down 1 again, so just come up between the top 2 wires right there to then be able to wrap around that top wire by itself, because obviously we haven't got any more going upwards. So this is going to be the final kind of double wrap that we did. So we now need to finish off the little wall, you could say, with a single wrap, just like that. And then we come with the weaving wire down behind all of the base wires again, so then comes out towards the bottom just like that there. So then we just need to repeat what we just did again, right next to the little wall that we already did. So it's coming down behind all of them, so it's ready to make a wrap around the bottom wire first of all by itself. So down between the bottom 2, push that close, and then we need to wrap across the top of the bottom 2. So come down in the middle of all of them, push it tight, and you can use your nails, and you can use some pliers if you need to help push it tight as well. Then come up between the 2 that we just wrapped across the top of. So the bottom 2 there, push it, so wrap across the top of the next 2, so that's the middle 2 now. So I need to bring my weaving wire down between the top 2 to just wrap around those middle 2, and then come up between the 2 that we just wrapped over the top of, and push it nice and close, and then the final 2 on the top also wrap around the top of them. So you can see we're just replicating what we just did. Come up between the top 2 to be able to wrap around the top one by itself. We now completed another little round here, you could say, of the weave, and then we completed this little section where you have that wall. So this is what basically the technique is. Now we're going to just go back to keep repeating. So the weaving wire is coming all the way down behind all of them. So again, I'm going to go to the bottom one and just wrap around that by itself, as if you're just coiling around that. And because I did 5 between my last sections, I'm going to do 5 wraps here as well. That was 4 and then 5, just like that. And I'm now in a position for the next section. Now, like I said, you can push things together with your fingernails if you have any to help make it as nice and tight as possible, or use your chain nose pliers both on this section here to help make it as straight as possible, so it kind of looks like that wall. But then also on this section you can help push it nice and close together. It's going to really emphasize the shape of it. And then what you want to do now is go back to making that first shape, so that little fan shape or shield shape. So I'm just going to show you that again, because right now we have all the wires in place, and obviously there we were adding in the wire as well. So what we're going to do is go over the top of the bottom 2, just like that, come up between them that we just went over the top of, to then wrap around the top one of those 2 that we wrapped around the top of by itself. So that means coming down between the middle 2 wires, then all the way to the bottom again. And then we need to wrap across the top of 3 of the base wires, come down behind to come basically do 1 step down, to come up between the middle ones, so we can wrap around that 3rd wire that we wrapped across the top of by itself. So there we go, down behind all of them, because now we reach that midpoint, the longest wrap basically, over the top of all 4 of the wires, and then down behind to then wrap around the 3rd wire towards the top by itself. So we need to come up between the middle of all the wires, and then down between the top 2, just to be able to wrap around that one by itself. Push it close, come all the way down, just make sure it's pushed nice and tight together, wrap over the top of the bottom 3, so that means going down between the top 2. So we're now stepping down again, and step 1 down, so that means come up between the bottom 2, push it close, wrap around the 2nd one from the bottom by itself, and then coming down from below, wrap around the top of those 2 to basically more or less complete that fan shape. And then all that's left to do is reach the very bottom wire here, and then just coil around that again. And again, this is where I'm just going to do it 5 times. But like I said, it's completely up to you how many you want to do between them. So you just want to keep going like this, do how many wraps you need, and then obviously make the little wall again, and then keep alternating like this to achieve that look that the weave is going to give. So this is then what the weave looks like once I've kept going. So you can see we have these fans going all the way along, but then separated out by these walls in between them, and just giving that nice texture. So kind of quite medieval look, I think, almost as if shields and walls separating them out. So that's what it looks like. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial here, and thank you very much for watching.